Morning. Hello. Yes, yes, now it is. Good morning. It's so lovely to see you all. I'm happy to say that again, too, because it really is true. A special welcome to those visiting RBC for the first time, either in person or online. We welcome you all. For those of you who are new to the temple, we are going to be chanting our Shoshinge, which is a book in the seat back pocket in front of you or just behind you. And this was written by our lineage founder, Shinran Shonin, over 800 years ago. And so we chant it in columns, vertical columns, from right to left, going down. So in the traditional Japanese way to do that. If you chant it crosswise, you'll get lost immediately. So don't do that. And the poem is most important because it shares our lineage teachers and history, but it's in Japanese. So you're welcome to read the bottom if you feel comfortable doing that, or just sit and listen and absorb the good, positive vibrations of the chant. That is the most important thing. Our Shoshinge compresses Shinran's experiences and insights into practicing the Pure Land Buddhist way. And that makes it so he's currently with us. We bring him to our hearts and minds every time we chant the Shoshinge, which is beautiful. Shinran wants us to know that life is more than just a simple journey from cradle to grave. We are part of a long, unbroken thread of life which extends deep, deep into the past, and we are responsible for extending that thread to the future. We are also offering incense right here at our Oshoko at the same time as we chant the Shoshinge. And everyone here is encouraged to offer incense. And you can offer incense at your home altar if you're at home, or food or water, or just your gratitude. Incense offering is a cleansing of the mind and body before receiving the teachings of the Buddha. Burning incense symbolizes transcending selfishness to become one with all. We have two other altars here in our Hondo. This south altar is our Kanon Bodhisattva altar for prayers of compassion. You may light a candle and ask for compassion directed to loved ones or yourself. And here on the north altar is Medicine Buddha. And you may offer incense there for any extra healing energy that you might want directed to others or for yourself as well. As we come up to offer incense, you'll see that there's two charcoal tabs in the holder. Please come up two at a time. And then when we break off to the other altars, the 6-foot spacing is really not totally necessary here. So we just don't want to block the altar from others coming up to offer incense. So yeah, it's all done in kind and quiet, meditative way, but we do want the flow to continue as well. Here on our altar is the Amida Buddha, offering boundless wisdom and compassion that supports us all day, every day. Please offer incense with gratitude and deep, heartfelt, loving kindness to all your teachers. Thank you. Shigi ko hozo bosa iniji zai se ji zai obusho 都県勝負浄土院国土人伝自然幕根流無常首相願長法慶雨大偶勢五公子唯死生十十世妙正文字法不法無量無変更無下無体公園の少女歓喜知恵子不断難死無所故超日学校小人生一切群上無交渉本願名号少女語死神信行願人上等学書大涅槃非死滅道願成就如来所意公主世唯世弥陀本願会五辱悪自群上会法身如来両実言の法一年喜愛心不断本の特涅槃本性逆法再永入妙種死入海一味聖種信仰上昇後意の水波無明願頓内心臓死運無上不信じ信人天非尿二個不運無運無死下妙無願逆心謙虚大狂気即応超勢後悪種一切善幕本部人門心如来偶勢願仏言広大小芸者善人妙分大理系弥陀部本元年部邪見教魔なく修上信行十字人に難中死な昔インド最天子論芸中華実地域史こそ現代諸公聖書意妙如来本税大き釈迦如来両河線一種五妙難天軸流中大事出頭世質の財波有無権先世大乗無常法召喚議事小安楽賢治難行六六信行異行指導楽億年弥陀部本願次年即時流筆上唯の上昇如来語王法大悲偶勢音天神菩薩増論世奇妙無下根如来永寿たら謙信寺高専王朝大聖願こういう本願力栄根異道群上小維心記入空読大法会筆略入大永寿宗特使蓮華造世界即小信用法小心有本の人間人図入賞自音自王下本自論乱両天使上高乱小菩薩来三蔵ルシ十条教本性専業気楽法天神菩薩論中下報道因果見世願おげねこゆたりき少女死因唯心人惑前本部新人法承知承知即涅槃非死無量光明道小雨修上開復系同社継承道難所有名浄土活入万全自力変言中円満特語感染症 三夫三親慶音言ゾマホメドヒイン一生ぞ枠地偶税思案よ解消明か全道読名部所意公愛上三陽逆枠公明明語権二年介入本願大地会行者小樹金剛心表記一年総合用意大東逆三人即所法所市上楽献身公開一大教返帰安養管理祭先祖出身反戦人法家理道小弁流国中悪人唯勝部外悪罪非正集中本能証言水不権大非無権上昇が本次元空明仏教連民全幕本部人新宗教書後編集戦弱本願具悪性現来生じ臨伝芸慶地義上位少子即入弱上無意楽非知信寺に納入苦境大自主死と上妻無変極辱悪同族自主愚道心唯過信し高祖聖栄光願にし功徳平等聖祭道本菩提心お嬢は安らこナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブ
We would, is that it? Are we? Okay, good. We would like to welcome the children to go to Dharma school with Reverend Shelley and Aaron downstairs. We can sing them out. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk just walk. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha Let's have a reading now. Has anyone prepared a reading? William. I can't really call Reverend Shelley at this point, but I was vaguely under the impression that we were going to have a reading at this point in the game. So, could you turn the fan on to ventilate us? This one right here. Yeah. Brings in outside air, and that might be a little cool, but it might be more pleasant. In the absence of a prepared reading, I just happen to have one right here. So... Okay. Ah, it's there already.
Okay, cool. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? All right. Mic's kind of directional, so there we go.
Use a big voice.
Our reading today is from Shinran Shonin's Lamp for the Latter Ages, selected Pure Land Wasan on the 3 Dharma ages. It is now more than 2,000 years since the passing of Shakyamuni Buddha. The right and semblance Dharma ages have already closed. So lament, Dharma students of the last Dharma age. Now, amid the 5 defilements in the last Dharma age, beings are incapable of practice and realization. The teachings that Shakyamuni left behind have all passed into the Naga's palace. We are now in the last Dharma age. People reside in conflict and dispute. Pure Dharma is concealed, dormant. Ignorance and blind passions abound, covering everything like a thin layer of dust. From conflict and discord, desire and hatred arise like high peaks. Sentient beings' wrong views grow rampant, becoming like thickets and forests, bramble and thorns, while the use of violence and the poison of anger spread wildly, filled with suspicion, slandering Nembutsu travelers. I hope there's a happy ending to this. It's like, yowza, okay. Only by entrusting in Amida Buddha's compassionate vow do sentient beings of the last Dharma age have a chance of leaving birth and death behind. Aspire for supreme enlightenment in the Pure Land path. Realize that the mind that seeks to attain a Buddhahood, the mind that saves all beings. Those who enter Amida's virtue field completely abandon self-power practice, benefiting beings boundlessly. Those who deeply entrust themselves to Amida's vow attain the stage equal to enlightenment, and their mindfulness continues unceasingly. Persons who truly realize Shinjin by Amida's vow of wisdom, they are held secure, never to be abandoned. Realization of true and real Shinjin is rare in the corrupt world of the last Dharma age. Difficult it is to attain. When we take refuge in the vast Buddha wisdom, we dwell with the truly settled. Born in the Pure Land, we realize supreme enlightenment. Amida, Kanon, and Seishi, ride on the ship of the vow, sailing the ocean of births and deaths. They rescue beings and bring them on board. The Buddha said, those who realize Shinjin, again, which is other power, revere the Dharma and rejoice. They are my true companions. Such is the benevolence of Amida's great compassion, that we must strive to return it, even to the breaking of our bodies. Such is the benevolence of the masters and true teachers that we must endeavor to repay it, even to our bones becoming dust. That's Ondoku-san. I recognize that part. Here ends the Wa-san of the right, semblance and last Dharma ages. We will now have a few minutes of meditation accompanied by music.
Good morning, friends. Can you hear me in the back? Okay, good. Let me add my words of welcome to you all. Everyone is welcome at our center. New folks who venture out are the fresh and vibrant sparkles that we share. And old-timers are the solid foundation that holds the Sangha through difficult times. Everyone is essential. I'm excited by an opportunity to share with you today. I'm always humbled to be sitting here. I just thank you for coming. I know that you didn't come only to hear me speak. All of our Sangha gathering energy is what's most important. You actively choose to come to the temple, and I'm grateful that you made that choice. You made the effort to come. Many make excuses, but you overcame them, which is wonderful. And to a small part, if you're watching on the streaming, it's great you tuned in. So, it just means a lot. Are we ready to study the Dharma? People nodding heads, that's great. Okay, good. I've got something I want to share with you today, and it swirls around the topic of what to do when things fall apart. Last year, really now it's almost 2 years, it has been stress-filled with all this going on. At times, we all experienced intense anxiety. The pain of not knowing and the terror of abrupt changes. In those times, you couldn't sleep well, your chest felt tight and limited, or maybe your heart sped up and did not seem to slow down. We all experience those things. Those are natural reactions to feeling that things are falling apart. The Buddha taught us how to look beyond panic and access awareness and calm in those times. That can be done with 3 simple actions of body, speech, and mind. I'm going to pause and take a bit of peppermint to stave off my allergic cough. Okay. So in Buddhism, we have a kind of temporological theory about the eras of time that follow a teaching Buddha. Shinran's Wasans that Will read speak directly to that time theory, sort of to the last part of it mostly. As we understand it, the best age to be born into is right when the Buddha is teaching. This is called the right Dharma age. A teaching Buddha has been actively engaged in sharing the clear and penetrating insight of recent enlightenment. This makes all the lessons, we call them sutras if you read them, very effective. Often, students listen to the Buddha and experience their own enlightenment at the end of the Dharma talk. So, Mahakassapa even experienced it when the Buddha held up a flower. It's a wordless sutra. It's called the Flower Sutra. And poof, Kassapa smiled. He was enlightened. Okay. The next Dharma age is the semblance Dharma age. It's a period maybe 1,000 years after the Buddha is present in a world system and teaching. Personal self-power practices in that time are marginally effective. Mostly, students experience an approximation of the vibrant enlightenment energy of the Buddha. While enlightenment is possible in the semblance age, it is rare. But the effectiveness of the Pure Land path comes to flower in that time because self-power works less well the more distant we are from the Buddha. The Pure Land path does not rely on self-power and therefore becomes the preferred method. The next Dharma age is called the last Dharma age. That's the nice name for it. Sometimes it's called the corrupt Dharma age of Mappo. It does seem to be the age we're in. So, in this time, as we heard Shinran describe in the reading, things are not going well. The energetic presence of the Buddha long ago succumbed to entropy. People are divided and divisive in the extreme. Times are fraught with floods and fires, earthquakes and plagues. Caring for others is a disguise for self-care. Pride and self-aggrandizement passes for heroism. Times are tough. In such a time period, the only true and real access to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas is through other power. By harmonizing, or perhaps by getting out of the way of their efforts, the vast and compassionate universe reaches out to us. Graced by their tireless efforts, we can experience one last birth in the Buddha field of Amida, this Pure Land we hear of. That is the last best hope for beings in the last Dharma age. Many people say our time is quite fraught. From the big picture of humankind in general to our personal struggles with putting food on the table and inner peace, we can act in response. What are 3 simple actions of body, speech, and mind that will do this? First, please don't give up. You have us. Hold on to the dreams and aspirations that we heard of in the Wasans, the aspiration to enlightenment, to compassion, to wisdom. They are valuable. These spiritual goals that are in your heart. How many of you have some things that you want to attain or accomplish? I was going to have a show of hands, but wait, many people do. Really, most of us do. To be happy, to be at peace. We all aspire to some important goals. What we are challenging you to do, and even when the fallout of the last Dharma age is all around us, is to never let go of that aspiration. Other power, put that aspiration there in your heart. And still, it's up to us to step in faith and confidence so we follow the path. And when I say dreams, I am not referring to the nocturnal movies that some of us enjoy. I'm talking about deep aspiration, a spiritual goal. All of us have them. Just because the Buddha encourages our aspiration, it does not mean we are going to not have trials, difficulties, that we won't face struggles in life. I wish I could tell you that walking the Dharma path was a walk that didn't include any of these. But that is not true. There is real moral struggle that occurs on the path. All of you know you've got to persevere through and let there be no regrets. The decisions that we make when we are in trouble are important. Today, I promised 3 things that you can do in the midst of trouble. The Buddha's advice is always very simple and very practical. The Dharma will help us in our day-to-day life. It's not a theory, it's not sort of an intellectual musing. It's something that is effective and works in real life. And some of you may think these 3 things I suggest are quite simple. They are. And you probably have heard them before. That's true. But it's good to hear the Dharma over and over again. the truth of reality as it is, makes us free. The first point that I want to talk to you about is in the midst of trouble, when you're going through struggles in life, double check your priorities. What is important in life? What is sucking up all your time and energy and effort? Is that the most important thing? There's some weighing there that needs doing. The fact is that we only have 24 hours in a day, and we waste a bunch of it sleeping. So now we have less. It's what we do with those hours in the day that count. How do we prioritize our life? What part of those hours do we give to what is important? That is a really significant question. We can take some time to ponder. Growth is not going to happen accidentally. You've got to give part of your life. You've got to say, I am going to spend time reading the Dharma, I'm going to contemplate the Nembutsu, I'm going to go to the temple. It is really great that you're all here. You've done that today, so that is most fortunate. Good job. But examining those priorities is very vital. It's so important that we keep the Dharma in a first place in our life, right up there with your family. The Buddha knew that there would be things that would try to pull us away and get us off the path. When things are tough, it helps to strip aside and throw off every unnecessary item that doesn't really feel that important. Every unnecessary weight on our shoulders. Let go of it. The things that we cling to, they entangle us. We have to make a right effort to keep the Dharma forefront in our lives. Or all kinds of other stuff just clutters it all up. To make progress, we all have to, and I say this in compassion, but we've got to observe our life. Mindfulness is essential. Observe it, take stock, reflect. You can get so busy with things, even doing good things. I speak for myself here. I can be so busy doing a million different things around the temple. The door is squeaking, the water is leaking, the phone is ringing. I think last week I came to the door, so one of you came to offer something. Someone brought some tea, actually. And all those things were going on. And after I received the tea and I was grateful, I walked back to my desk and I thought, I wonder if I was smiling when I answered the door and the person gave me the tea, because all these other things were going on. I didn't focus on what's important. The thing most important ends up getting less attention. A personal sense of being held, never to let go. That is important. That is what Amida Buddha offers. We're held and cared for by a vast and compassion-filled universe. This is wonderful. I appreciate Reverend Matsunaga very much, my teacher. He set a very good example for us. There was always a lot of activity at RBC, sure, but he never used it as an excuse on the path. There was always time to consider what was most important in life, to stop and talk about the Dharma. He ingrained in us how important the spiritual life is. So let's take time for the Dharma. Make it first place in our lives. It is imperative. It is immediate. Point number 1, that's double check your priorities. And point number 2, this may be the most important one, but you can judge. In a time of trouble and distress, examine your attitude. This is so significant because it's easy to get crosswise with things, to become critical or go negative. When things aren't going your way, it is most easy to find fault with other people or with ourselves. Remember the rules of just right speech and apply them here. From the sutra, quote, it is spoken in truth, it is spoken affectionately, it is spoken beneficially, and it is spoken at the right time. In other words, if you can't say something good, don't say anything at all. Don't even think it. It's not worth it. Don't put that negative construct out there. What I have realized, friends, is that your attitude is a choice. This is the law of karma. Most people think they have somehow inherited their attitude, that their attitude is the result of circumstances beyond control. This is an error. Your attitude is a choice. The attitude you or I choose today, whether it is bitter, whether I'm happy, whether I'm friendly or unfriendly, whether sour or fearful, I choose to be that way. We can nurture the metta, the loving kindness that overlooks mistakes of others. We can cultivate the love that overlooks flaws, the love that sees the best in everyone. Cultivate loving kindness. That gives people the benefit of the doubt. We do well to consider this. In the Dhammapada we read, all experience is preceded by mind, led by mind, made by mind. Speak or act with a corrupt mind, and suffering follows, as the wagon follows the hoof of the ox. My teacher in Sri Lanka, Silavamsa, Venerable Silavamsa, I guess is that. In Sinhala you say Silavamsa Hamaduro, but that kind of doesn't make sense in English. So okay. He was a monk. That's what I was trying to say with that. And he used to tell a story about the Buddha. The Buddha would never say anything bad about anybody. And there were a couple of Brahmins in the village, and that drove them nuts. So they wanted him to say something bad about somebody. And they went to him one day after a teaching, and they asked, what about Mara, the undoer? What do you think of him? The Buddha thought for a minute and said, well, I admire that he's always busy. So, know that you can see good in somebody if you try. I don't care who it is, you can see good in them. And friends, if you're harsh and hard and judgmental, you know what's happening. You're sowing bad seeds. You're planting real noxious seeds of karma. This is just true. Those seeds will bear fruit. But listen, it's the same in other areas of life. If you're sowing bad seeds, you're going to harvest bad fruit. Today is the day to just stop doing that. That is how karma works. The last point I want to talk to you about is taking refuge. In your time of trouble and distress, when you're going through really dark times of life, learn to turn your attention over to Amida Buddha. Turn the whole difficult situation over to Amida Buddha. This is Shinran's great lesson for the last Dharma age. Don't fight the battle on your own as a small being. Take refuge in Amida Buddha, infinite wisdom and compassion in the universe. Amida is a mighty refuge, a vast ocean of refuge, Feel the expansive field where help comes from. So many times we try to carry the load ourselves, on our little shoulders. Shinran recommends we cast all our cares on Amida. He cares for you, always, no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, just as you are. This is the great matter of Shinjin, true and trusting, living with a true and trusting heart. Live in vital connection with the wise and compassionate universe around you. Trust in Amida as a backstop for each day's problems. Every day, simply trust. Let go of the troubles that plague you each day. This is a kind of radical trusting, not just all your hopes and dreams. Turn over your insecurities. Let go your inadequacies. Fundamentally, let go your fears. Turn it all over to other power. Because, and I can say this from experience, at your weakest moment, that's when other power shows up and manifests itself in its strongest form. When we think we can't do anything ourselves, that's when Amida will flow in and seemingly say, okay, now you know it's not just you. Listen to what Shinran said in Kyogo Shinsho. Reflecting on the great ocean of Shinjin, I realize that it does not choose between rich and poor, has nothing to do with male or female. Religious practice is of no concern. It is not a matter of doing good acts or not calling the Nembutsu once or many times. It is simply Shinjin, that is inconceivable, inexplicable, and indescribable. True and trusting in the vow of Amida is the thing. It is the medicine that antidotes all poisons. It destroys the poisons of our wisdom and our foolishness. At our weakest point, that's when the medicine comes. We get a glimpse of other power. It's really there all the time. But we can see it when we know we are not in control of life. Take refuge and turn your problem over to Tariki, other power, and be at peace. You see, that's what I'm really had to do sitting here. I am fearful of speaking to large groups of people. So I give that fear to Amida. Some of you know that I had never spoken in public for the first 15 years of my participating at RBC. I helped with projects and the quarterly newsletter, but that was written down. Matsunaga and the older assistant priests, they did Dharma talks. That was fine with me. But a couple of months before Reverend Matsunaga died, I visited him in Hokkaido for 3 days. Actually, it was Halloween, 2009. Exactly 10 years ago, right? No, 11. No, 12. Exactly this day 12 years ago. It's almost mystical. Boy, 10 would have been perfect, but okay, fine. These last 2 years have been most trying. We talked about leadership at RBC. We talked about RBC growing to be independent. And he said, Matthew, you will be a good priest. And to be honest, I really didn't even want to do it then. I had a family to care for and a design business to run, and still I told him I didn't know. On that visit, I had lots of time to think it through. Due to his illness, he was only really able to visit with me for about 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the afternoon. So, I took long walks in the snow with my little friend Inari the fox guiding me. I thought about it, and I concluded, I can't disappoint Matsunaga Sensei at this time in his life. Those were indeed hard times for him. I realized that I have to step up and do more. I can write a newsletter article, and then I can get up here, and I'll read it aloud, and that's what I can do. It is something. In our last talk, I told Matsunaga I would do it. He died February 2010. The years that followed were chaotic at times, and still things came together. RBC became a center where lots of people participate in many different wholesome practices, where the Dharma is our light and our guide. For me, I started doing some Dharma talks. I'd write them out, as is my way. I would share them here. The first time I spoke here, sitting with you, it was just okay. People were very encouraging, which is most kind. Afterwards, I went over to Matsunaga's altar here, and I made gasho, I bowed, and I thought in my head, some people call that prayer, but I don't know what you call it. I thought, Sensei, thank you for your help, for the Dharma thoughts that you've shared with me, and for the enthusiasm that you've given me, and thank God it's over. But that was the first time. Now it's 100 and some talks that I have shared with all of you. And the feelings of being supported and guided still fills me when I sit here. I take refuge. I turn it over to Amida. It is indeed humbling and heartening to simply trust, and that's okay. That the Sangha will be sustained not by me, but by the vast tariki that flows through all of us together. And you know what I learned? Through all of the challenges and joys that are temple life for the last 11 years, to entrust all my cares to Amida. I don't have to do it with my own strength. At my weakest point is when I found other power is real. In those moments, we are able to see it in a most powerful way. And I learned when I'm frustrated and when I'm feeling very stressed, that is when I'm trying to carry too much on my little shoulders. When we take refuge, our burden is light. In most difficult moments, do this. Take refuge. We have to leave all our cares to Amida, to other power, to the universe. If we carry it all on ourselves, it will only crush us. Shozo Matsuwasa number 59 is about that. So, we would like to know the next 30 years, right? We all want to know that sort of thing. We want to be able to have a plan, and where's the path going to take us? You know, just tell me everything, and then I'll believe it. That is not how it works. Other power leads us one step at a time. In Shinjin, we just follow the path each day with a trusting heart. Saichi, the wonderful Shin Buddhist teacher, also a clog maker, said this. He actually wrote it on a little curl of wood that he carved off the clog that he was making. He wrote this. Worried over this, worried over that. That heavy burden has been taken away from me. Ever since the burden was taken away, how perfectly at peace I am in other power. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. We know you go through dark times. We know you go through struggles. But you've got it, turn it all back over to Amida. In great compassion, he cares for us, the Oya-sama, the dear parent. Amida will see us through any situation. When we take refuge and remember the Buddha in all things, when we feel weakest in ourselves, that's when other power appears in our life. We encourage you to hold on to your aspirations toward peace and joy. When faced with mappo, things falling apart all around you, rethink your priorities. Keep the Nembutsu and your family foremost. Adjust your attitude in a wholesome direction. Shift from critical and negative to positive and caring. And take refuge. Let go the burden to other power. Surrendering your self-power struggles to other power of this vast, compassionate, wise universe. Amida. Do this, and I promise you, Amida Buddha vows he will never overlook you in your suffering. Amida sees us each as a dear only child. Shinjin no kokoro, the true and trusting heart, will bring us through every storm, every trial that we ever go through. So now please make gasho as we do, and bow our heads, just as we do when we take refuge, and repeat after me our great wish for sentient beings who struggle in a world falling apart around them. May you be happy. May you be free from harm. May you receive boundless compassion. And may peace and harmony fill your heart. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you. We usually conclude our service, actually our penultimate conclusion, because there's a conclusion after that, is that we sing our Reno Buddhist Center theme song, which is on page 49 of the service book. If you would stand to make singing more easy. Masako will play the piano for us. Away, away, come away with me, where the grass grows wild and the winds blow free. And to conclude our service, we have some announcements. The most important one is we have tea and treats downstairs. So going through this door here and circling down the stairs is how to get there from here. I went to college in Maine. There's an old joke. Yeah, you can't get there from here. But you can get to the tea and treats down this way, so that's okay. I ran into a friend from Maine, so brings it all back. Second Maybe it's just as important is that newcomer circles will be held in this hall. After people get tea and treats, we'll ring a bell downstairs at newcomer circle time, and we'll circle some chairs. George Killeran there will be guiding us in newcomer circle. There are many other announcements that appear in the order of service. I will not read all of those for you, and I wish you a wonderful and fun Halloween. Namaste. Namaste. Namaste.